I don't want the weather where it's going to snow Saturday.
Is it really?
Yeah, really.
Bummer, dude.
It'll be flurries, but it'll be
Oh.
enough to drive people to the grocery store and empty it out.
uh, I'm going to be honest. I'm so totally not looking forward to this Marvel versus Monsters event coming up.
Yeah.
Just, no. Don't care.
But why? Why is it there? What?
What are you doing?
Good lord. I'm looking at Cullen Ben's Monster Pigs.
That's what I was looking at.
Dude, I mean, why did they put it here? It's going to be six months before it comes out. They want you to go buy the books.
Yes, that's why they put it there. Also, I'm glad they put Old Man Logan here because I was looking for those issues the other day and couldn't find them and had forgotten that they're part of the main Wolverine series.
Yes. I did the same thing when I wanted to read it a few months ago. Forgive me.
So I just saved them all to my library so they'll be there forever.
What I often do for something like that is save the first issue, and then I know I can, find the next issue subsequently after that. All right, I'm ready.
Okay, hang on. I'm answering a text message. There's been more trade drama, like just developing in the last 20 minutes or so.
What's he done now?
We'll talk about it later.
More acts of stupidity?
We're broadcasting live.
Oh, we are, aren't we?
Anyway. That's not what I wanted. Open the app. There we go. This thing is screaming fast, man. Holy cow. All right, go ahead. All right, counting down. 3, 2, 1.
I completely forgot the intro.
Dude.
Hang on. Okay, I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
What is up, and welcome to the 6 Month Behind podcast, where we talk about all things in the Marvel Unlimited app. I'm Pat.
And I'm Sean.
And we're here to talk about the comics that came out this week in Marvel Unlimited for the week of 12/5/16, which launches the next event, which is Civil War. We got a tease of it last week. Week 4 last was just Civil War number 0. And this week we get the full event with Civil War number 1.
Finally. Hooray. We're all very happy. I've actually really been looking forward to this series for a minute. I was so totally not into it, but once I learned what it was, I was like, oh no, this is going to be good.
Yeah, and it's no secret. I mean, I've bought the hard copies, so I was really looking forward to it. Obviously, I paid $5 an issue for it, and it really is good. So yeah,
Yep.
I'm looking forward to all the issues that go with it. Like next week, we're going to get a Spider-Man issue and a Hercules issue, miniseries, I should say. So yeah, I'm looking forward to those.
Yeah, me too. And just to let you guys know, since it is a new event, we do discuss spoilers. We're going to discuss a lot of spoilers in just a few minutes, so this is your warning now. If you have not read it yet, for whatever reason, jump ship and come back later. Because that's the first thing we're discussing is Civil War.
Yeah, so, go read the Comic on Unlimited. Go to our website, which is www.6monthsbehind at
6 months behind .com.
The email is
6 months behind at gmail.com. That's the number 6 months behind at gmail.com.
yes, it is.
Yeah. So let's just jump straight into Civil War #1 because that's what we're all here for.
Yes, save me.
Yeah. Civil War II #1.
Number one.
Yeah, it is the second Civil War. You know, we saw all these players get put together in the last issue, the Zero issue.
Yes.
So what you have is Ulysses has seen, to give you just a brief synopsis, Ulysses has seen a vision of the future. If you don't know who Ulysses is, he's the new Inhuman from last issue. He sees visions. That thing, that apocalypse that he saw at the end of the issue 0, that was a vision of the future. He connects with the Inhumans. They've taken him in. He sees this future. The Inhumans come to warn the heroes about it. They all team up together, and we pick up where they're fighting this celestial. It's
Yes.
some sort of celestial from another dimension in New York. Yes.
Yes.
So, first of all, let me just say that the art in this book is tremendous.
It is very good.
There was some drama about the artist a few months ago because the artist is the reason some of those issues were delayed, but I can absolutely understand why they wanted to wait on him because this art is absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, but come on, man.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, we're recording this. Well, let's do this. This is the week of 12/5 that this book shipped. All right. On 12/20, I think the week of 12/23, issue 8 is finally going to hit the stands, which means you won't get the final issue of this. We won't get it on Unlimited until May the 28th. Seriously, maybe 23rd, maybe 28th.
Yeah.
Seriously, man, come on. That's it's basically shipping 3 months late.
Yeah, it is.
It
unfortunately.
Is. And again, and it did the same thing again. If you look at my notes on the website for what's shipping this month, it says 1 of 7. 7 shipped in November. Oh, wait, we couldn't fit it all in 8 issues or 7 issues. Let's add an 8th issue.
Kind of like they did with Secret Wars with the 9th issue.
Yes. So again, they couldn't fit it all in. So they added an issue and they're shipping late. Seriously?
Twice, two big events in a row, by the way.
I mean, I love this. Okay. These events are why I read comics. I love the art. I love the characters. I love the moral issues that we're debating here, but you gotta ship it on time. I mean, not shipping things on time is what led to the comic crash of 1993. All right, if you want to know what led to 2/3 of the comic distributors going bankrupt in 1993, it was comic books not shipping on time.
Well, there was the whole speculation market thing too.
Not shipping on time, man.
Okay. So
because what happened is so many of the Image books weren't shipping on time, and then they would just show up one week, and suddenly guys like Bob would have $1,000 bill. Literally, one week you get 300 Image books showing up. 300 hard copies. His bill's $1,000. He didn't know they were coming in. Suddenly he's trying to find all these people on the phone who, yes, we're speculating, okay? He's trying to get them to come in to buy all these Image books. They were expecting him 4 months ago. Now he can't get them in his store to pick up the copies that they ordered 4 months ago. They done forgot about them. And dude, guys like Bob went bankrupt, and there's still copies of Youngblood and Supreme and all these other issues sitting around in the back of his store that he just needs to do a bonfire with.
Yeah, he's just sitting on the merchandise with nothing to show for it.
But because they literally Image couldn't ship on time.
Yeah. Well, I think what they did is they ended up getting a different artist, and they're doing some guest artists on the last issue. I think that was my understanding of the situation there.
Anyway, I love the book. I do, but Marvel's gotta solve the problem of shipping these events on time.
Yeah, when it's happening semi regularly. It's a problem. But continuing on, we pick up in Manhattan with Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Iron Man, Captain America, Nova, and Miss Marvel. They're all fighting this big celestial thing. And then Thor shows up, and Thor shows up with the cavalry. She's got all the Avengers in tow.
She doesn't have the Avengers. She's got the Avengers, the X-Men, the Inhumans.
Inhumans, all the Ultimates, all of them. And, you know, what I've really enjoyed about this particular scene is that you really see how formidable this group has become over the years. You know, they have fought alongside each other for so long, particularly this A-list group that you've got here, that, you know, they're taking on an apocalyptic event, and, you know, they're this indomitable force.
Yeah.
But are you looking at the book right now?
Yes.
Okay. Look at the page where Thor comes in with the whole crew. I mean, everybody is there.
Yes.
Cable's there. You know, the Vision's there. War Machine, Squirrel Girl's there.
She-Hulk's there.
She-Hulk is here. Old Man Logan's here. And the Wasp is also here. Is that Janet, or is that the younger Wasp that we've seen show up in the Avengers books recently?
I have no idea.
That's interesting. Anyway, they stick it to the celestial thing, teleport it back to its universe. And then they all go hang out at Tony Stark's house for a big celebration party.
Yeah.
And this is where it really starts to get interesting, because, you know, they start asking, hey, how'd you guys know what was going to happen? Well, turns out there's this Inhuman named Ulysses who can see the future. And
there's a couple of good pages of jokes there we're skipping over for time, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's some good banter and dialogue going back and forth. Particularly the bit about a reincarnated Hitler.
That's later on, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
anyway. Yeah, go ahead.
So Medusa brings Ulysses in and introduces him to him. Go ahead.
Tony's problem is that this is not the future. And that when you start talking about the future, when I say this is not the future, what I mean is, you know, he saw the future, but they stopped it, so it's clearly not the future. It's a possible future. And
well, yes, because once he saw it, they went and prevented it, so it became an alternate future.
Yes. So what he sees is not in stone the future. It's a possibility. So being the futurist that he is, he's going to, of course, be suspect. Particularly when you find out his mind can't be read. They bring Jean Grey in and they're like, hey, can you read his mind and we can all see what he saw? Oh, yeah, turns out his mind's a closed system, like a MacBook.
Yes.
Yeah, so Tony, you know, Carol Danvers is there, and she says, you know, you can see the future and we can stop things from happening before they happen. Great. But, you know, let's give this kid a job. And then Tony's there saying, I don't know. We should be suspicious of this. Which is kind of strange if you think about it, because he actually makes the example, well, what if next time it's not so simple as just beating the villain? What if it's one of us? You know, do you stop the Hulk before he smashes all of New York? You know, do you do, if you know he's going to do it, do you stop him? Or if you even suspect he's going to do it? And where's that line? Which is a little bit about, what we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago, I suppose, with, issue 0. And I thought that was funny because wasn't it his idea to shoot the Hulk into space a few years ago?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Well, I think the Illuminati took a vote, but I'm pretty sure it was his idea.
Yeah, he's the one who called the meeting and was like, hey, we got to do something about the Hulk. I had this idea about shooting him into space. Also, I designed this spacecraft that would hold the Hulk while we shoot him into space.
Right.
Yeah.
So then we skip ahead 3 weeks, and everybody's asleep, minding their own business. And Ulysses has another vision. And we're not told what the vision is. And you and I have discussed this. We're hoping we see this in play in the Ultimates, which I think we're going to, because Thanos is on the cover of that in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
I'm hoping we see what plays out here.
Yeah, I think we're going to. And then we skip to Tony Stark's laboratory, where Mary Jane Watson, his assistant, comes in and tells him that
he breaks the news
Jim Rose
Yeah.
is dead. And Tony goes over to the Triskelion and is not in a good mood.
Yeah, no, he's really upset that his best friend is dead at the hands of,
Well,
that he's dead.
That he's dead, and then he finds out that Carol, what she did. Then he finds out that the She-Hulk is nearly dead also, and Carol's beaten half to death.
Yeah, the whole team is.
Yeah, the whole team's just beaten half to death.
Yeah. So what happened, we find out, is that Ulysses has a vision. We don't know what that vision was, and I'm sure interested to know what it was. But they share that information with Carol Danvers, who then puts together the Ultimates team and goes to deal with that threat in whatever manner that may be. We don't know yet. But War Machine was with them. Jim Rhodes was with them at the time. So he volunteered for the mission. And like Maria Hill says, it just went FUBAR.
Yeah.
And Rhodey's dead.
And they begin the moral discussion of this immediately, which is Tony felt they shouldn't have gone, and Carol believes they should have gone, and if they had it to do all over again, they'd make the same choice and do it twice.
And she even says, you would too, if you'd had the information. If you'd been given that same information, you'd have made that same call.
Yeah.
So what we find out is they went to go deal with Thanos, who we know has been up to something.
Well, and they say it here in the book, and we learned this in the Ultimates a couple of weeks ago, that he's learned there's still a cosmic cube on Earth, and he wants it.
Yeah, he's looking for the cosmic cube again, and he thinks it's on Earth, which is why he's here. Which, if you consider that the Pleasant Hill story was all about the cosmic cube, and we just got done with that, and the repercussions of that, I wonder what that's going to, how those two things are going to tie together. Do you think Thanos is going to run across the cosmic cube kid?
I don't know. I don't know where they're going with this.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Thanos is up to. But
I think when this is all over, he's getting his own series. I got to look at the previews for what's coming out in January and February on the newsstand, but I'm fairly certain he's getting his own series.
That'd be cool. Who's writing it? Well, you'll look it up later.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're doing stuff with Thanos again, and I guess part of it's an effort to, next year's going to be the Infinity War, so they got to
Is
have
that
him
2017 or 2018?
2018. Oh, it might be 2019.
I
Still,
think it's 2018. You said next year, which this is almost 2017, so you confused me a little bit.
yeah. They've got to have Thanos prominent in the comic books again because we'll finally really be seeing him in the movie. But I don't know, man. I'm just interested to see what Thanos is up to. But that's not the point of this book. The point of this book is there's this conflict now between Tony Stark and Carol Danvers. Carol Danvers believes that they should use this new Inhuman to predict the future. Tony Stark doesn't, and now we've seen what the outcome of that might be. And he actually accuses Carol of killing Rhodey with her own hand, by her own will.
Yeah, he's not happy.
Well, do you think he's right? Because what he's implying there is that making the decision that she made and him getting killed is the same as her having killed him personally. And I don't know if I agree.
No. Once you make a decision like that, I'm trying to think of the analogy. Once soldiers decide to go to war, you're not responsible for their deaths. If
Right,
that makes sense.
At some point, it's their decision.
Once Rhodey decided to go with her, it's on him.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Once he decided to put on the armor, it's on him. Okay. It's not her fault.
That's Carol's point, is that, he volunteered to do this. This was all him.
Right.
We're both sad he's dead, but, this isn't murder. And if you should be upset with Thanos and not me. But, he storms off, vowing to make sure none of you ever play God again, whatever that's going to mean. And then She-Hulk wakes up, tells Carol to fight for the future, and then flatlines. And that's where we're left at the end of the book.
Yes.
So, a lot to digest. This is probably just getting started. This is really just, hey, here's your conflict. Things are really going to blow up in the next issue, I would imagine.
They're going to get wound up in the next issue, and they're really going to get wound up in issue 3.
Okay. So, overall, what do you think of the book?
I enjoyed it a lot.
I did too.
I really do. This is really about the as this goes on, you see it in this issue, and you'll see it more. The first Civil War was about Captain America and Tony Stark. This Civil War is about Carol Danvers and Tony Stark. And neither one of them is I don't believe is going to make it out the same.
I don't think either of them are sane going into it.
Tony's... I said the same, but sane too.
Oh, the same. Okay.
Yeah, but sane. Yeah, I'll take sane too.
That's the thing, is you've got Tony, he's been tracking down his parents, and that's made him crazy. Like, in whatever the reveal is on that whole thing with his parents. And then you've got Carol Danvers, who's, not sleeping and trying to save the world and trying to anticipate every single possible threat that there could ever be. And yeah, neither of them, and both of their best friends just died. So now they're insane. Neither of them are going to. That's enough to really throw them off the edge, and they're good. Both of them are going to come out of this not the same person, if either of them come out of it at all.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a good first issue, and I'm looking forward to what's coming.
Yeah, me too. We've got a couple tie-ins next week. But yeah, this is just the spark. The fire will begin next. When do we get the next issue?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay, so they were trying to get it out every 2 weeks. Instead, it
Yes,
took them 8 months.
which they do through like issue 4, maybe 5, and then it just goes to pieces.
Yeah.
So somewhere around issue 5, it just crashes and burns.
Mm. Well, we'll get there.
Yes.
Finally, moving on. We didn't have any Avengers books or Spider-Man books this week. We had one.
No, we have Avengers books. We just got an X-Men book first. Then
Oh,
we
you're
have 3
right.
Avengers books.
Oh, you're right. Never mind. Of course we did. I read them all.
We just don't want to read the X-Men book. We want to pretend it's not there.
Yeah, you're right. It's X-Men 92, vampires and stuff, 90s nostalgia. Woohoo. You know, this is a pretty light book. If you enjoyed the cartoon from the 90s, read it. If you didn't, skip it. Otherwise, you know, it's like reading an episode of that show. And there's vampires in it, and Jubilee, and Omega Red. So
There you go.
there you go. A-Force number 6
is our first Avengers book.
Yeah, that was the first Avengers book that we had. Hang on, I got to get to my notes. Give me a brief synopsis of this.
The Countess is there from Battle World, and she's taken what's the young lady's name? Nico.
Nico?
Yeah. She's possessed Nico, and Nico is she's basically mind controlling Nico to depower the rest of A-Force. And this is one of the funniest things I've seen in a while. When she depowered Medusa, Medusa lost control of her hair. So she's just got all that long red hair just kind of hanging there.
It's just limp. And she's really upset about it.
And it's really funny. And she's upset about it, and everybody else is busting on her for it. And it's just really funny because all this long red hair is like 20 feet long, just kind of hanging there. I thought it was funny. Okay, I realize I have a warped sense of humor at times, but
no, it was meant to be funny.
I thought it was funny. Anyway, so then the Countess comes, and She-Hulk actually starts to get under Nico's skin and starts to free her, just to basically occupy A-Force for a few minutes. She takes She-Hulk and turns her into the rampaging She-Hulk. And she gets very big, very angry, and the rest of a depowered A-Force is forced to deal with a rampaging She-Hulk, which they do, and eventually they get far enough away where they get their powers back, including Medusa, who's very happy about it, by the way.
Yeah, she's happy to have her hair powers back. Also, yes. Singularity pops back into existence.
Yes. And she wants to know why She-Hulk is big and mad.
Yeah, she also thinks her muscles are pretty, which is just adorable.
Yeah. And then at the end, they're once again under the magic spell of Nico and back in trouble.
Yep. It was okay. It was all right. It was, yeah, I feel like this book is kind of just treading water until Civil War.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it was enjoyable. It's lighthearted, and I like seeing this group of characters together, and I like the way this group of characters is intertwined. And that's not the right word.
How they all came together.
I like the interchanges between this group of characters. I like the dialogue between this group of characters. So, yeah, I'm enjoying this book.
Yeah, I have been too, and I'll continue to read it.
Sure.
All New, All Different Avengers number 10. First of all, this cover is gorgeous.
That's a great cover, man.
Dave McCaig doing the cover there. Man, I thought it was an Alex Ross cover for real, and then realized it wasn't. But it's Alex Ross quality.
There are 2 or 3 guys who are copying Alex Ross's style now that are just making magnificent covers. There's somebody else I was looking at, and I don't know. I look at so many covers because there are so many covers coming out for the alternate stuff that I'm putting on the website, www.6monthsbehind.com. If you look at December shipping, you see every alternate cover for every issue. So I'm looking at so many covers. And dude, I love Scotty Young stuff. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, his stuff's really good. He can't write worth a crap, but he can draw.
But he can draw, man. Holy cow. But there's 2 or 3 people that Marvel has that are copying Alex Ross's style, and it just looks good, man. And this guy's one of them.
Yeah, it's easily one of the best covers I've seen in a long time. So getting into it here, the Avengers are going to go help Nova find his dad. If you've been reading Nova, you know that whole series has been about Sam Alexander looking for his dad. The Avengers have said they're going to go help him, so they hop in a spaceship and they're off. And all the Spider-Man and Miles Morales and Kamala Khan are just stunned by space. This is the first time either of them have been to space, so they're just flabbergasted. Meanwhile, Nova's standing there yawning, like, space.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed the part where Tony Stark convinced Kamala's parents to let her go along with him.
Yes, because it was a science field trip because she was so smart. I thought that was funny too.
Right. It's like, what was it? It was the tri-state area finest young scholars for a top scientific field trip. So, it's funny because she's Middle Eastern, and that's like maybe I'm just being a racist, but anyway, we all know the stereotype. But anyway, they're off into space. They pick up a signal from this planet. They actually end up crashing on it because they get shot out of the sky by this big. On this planet, there's this big tower, and if you get close enough to it, it's going to shoot a beam of energy at you and knock you out of the sky. And it has done this to multiple ships. There's a bunch of alien refugees on this planet, and so the Avengers decide they're going to go help them out. But they're having a hard time of it. So they find out that the source of power behind this tower is a set of bracers. Now, what's that about?
I don't know.
Are those Nova's bracers?
I don't know. Because I'm trying to figure out if that monster that appears a couple of panels later is a portal to the negative zone, and if this whole thing is a portal to the negative zone, or if it's just a wormhole.
Well, I think the wormhole in the middle of it is a portal. We know it is. So every day there's this monster that comes by, and it's this big. It looks like a big tentacly cloud. It's kind of amorphous and blob-like. And it's got this big hole in the middle. It looks like a portal, and it's been just eating people until it's done. So they try to fight it. Doesn't work out real well. So they just go straight in and just throw themselves into this portal. Don't know where they're going to end up. But the negative zone is where they end up. They end up captured by Annihilus. And we know Annihilus has been up to stuff because we've been reading... what book has he been showing up in?
The Thanos book. With Adam Warlock and...
Yeah, he was there, but he was in some other stuff too. Might have been Ultimates.
Was it Ultimates?
Might have been, but we saw like the council forum with
all this Universal stuff is running together.
Yeah, it all runs together for me too.
It was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, it is Guardians of the Galaxy.
And he is in this universe since the Annihilation Wave. That's right. He's still in this universe. Exactly.
Right. So he's been up to stuff. He's working with the Brood and somebody else. Skrulls, maybe? No, because they're not there. That's the whole thing, is they realize they can seize power now because both the Skrull and the Kree are off the board for the most part.
Yeah, I'd have to go
But
back and read that book. It was in Guardians 1 or 2, current series.
yeah, it's current series. I'd have to go back and read it too. I'm not really sure. But yeah, that's where we end. Is the Avengers have been captured by Annihilus.
Now, we
So,
missed a few pages here.
oh yeah, there was the bit with Janet and the new Wasp girl.
Yes, I don't really know where this little subplot is going, but the new Wasp girl, who is Hank Pym's daughter and Janet Van Dyne's stepdaughter, they go to see Janet Van Dyne, and as they get there,
There's
they
some sort of
immediately
crisis happening.
they're immediately whisked off to save the world.
Yeah, and Janet's whole thing is like, "Hey, you come with me. You're a superhero now, so I need you to do superhero stuff."
Yeah.
And I guess this is going to lead to some sort of mentor type. I'm going to train you to be the Wasp now thing.
Yeah.
Which is why I asked the question earlier in Civil War. You know, we see the Wasp there. Is that Janet or is that the other one, whose name I can't remember?
It's a Russian name, and I cannot remember it either.
Yeah. Anyway, this Avengers series has gotten better as it's gone on. It flagged a little in the beginning, but I assume when we get into the Civil War stuff, it'll get real good.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It's I enjoyed it. I still don't know what's going on with the Vision, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think that's an overarching plot that they'll get to eventually. I want to see the outcome of the Vision solo series first.
I'm not sure he's going to make it out of that alive.
You know, I was wondering if they're setting up to kill him again. I really don't want them to because I like the Vision. He was gone for a long time, but
I don't know why they just can't wipe his programming and fix him, but they always seem to have trouble with that. So,
well, he's not just a robot; he's an android, so there's complications.
yeah, we'll see.
Plus, they've done it before and it didn't work, and he died and came back as his younger self, but was then turned into his adult self, and I don't know, man.
Yeah,
robots, they're hard.
they are hard.
Anyway, Spider-Woman Omega #1. This is the conclusion issue to this Spider-Woman team up. Let's see. Sorry, I had to navigate to the book. So, Evil Silk is not very happy with Jesse Drew as he's decided to take the Spider-Woman's bargain, and he's given up his spider powers and stabbed her in the back. The Jesse Drew and his family are leaving. If you don't remember who Jesse Drew is, it's Jessica Drew's doppelganger from Earth 65. So Jessica goes and kind of ambushes Evil Silk at her lair, and they fight. And that's really kind of how this ends. It was not.
I'm reading to see if your summary missed anything, but it really didn't. No.
Yeah, I felt like it was kind of. There's a little more there. Like, the good Silk shows up with an Adaptoid suit. Spider-Gwen gets her spider powers back and saves the day and finishes the fight. But, it just kind of felt like after all this lead up, it felt like a real quick resolution.
You always have a big fight scene at the end, man. That's
yeah, I guess so.
What it's about.
Anyway, the Jessica Drew, the Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew, Gwen Stacy, and Cindy Moon go out for ice cream afterwards. Yeah, it was a nice little wrap up, I thought, and I really hope they do this team up again. I hope they put these three together again at some point.
Yeah, it was, and I'm with you. It was a little disappointing. But
it was a little anticlimactic, maybe.
It was what you expected it to be.
Eh, I don't know. I expected a little more fireworks, but it was fine. It was fine. It was good. The evil Cindy Moon has that really cool gauntlet that I want that gives her powers from all the different superheroes. That thing's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you read Spider Woman #8?
I did.
Okay, cool. This issue is it picks up. I guess this is sometime after she gets back from Earth 65. But go ahead and tell us about the book.
It's basically the day in the life of a working mom, and she goes out and leaves the baby with D-Man, and gets a tip from Ben Urich, where Killer Strike is. Urich, isn't that what I said?
No, you said Urich.
Urich.
It's Urich. Urich.
Urich.
Yeah, it's Urich with a Y, but not.
Urich. Dude.
It's Ben Urich. He's Ben Urich. That's how you pronounce his name.
Okay, whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, she's fighting one of Namor's old villains,
Tiger Shark, Killer Shark, something like that.
Which one?
I don't know. Some D-list villain nobody gives a rip about.
Now you got me curious. Anyway, so they start fighting.
It's Tiger Shark.
Tiger Shark. Okay, and he's got a really cool aquarium, by the way.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the panel where they break the aquarium and there's this family that lives on the floor below him. They're just having dinner peacefully, and then the next panel they're being swept away in a wave of water and a giant squid.
Yeah. So then Dennis calls her, and she answers the phone in the middle of the fight to discuss where the baby's diapers are, and the fact that he doesn't want to go into her lingerie drawer to find the diapers and the blanket.
It's pajamas.
Yeah, well, there you go. He doesn't want to go into the laundry with her lingerie and her panties to find
the baby's pajamas.
The baby. But apparently he doesn't have any problems at the end of the book sitting there while she's in a towel nursing. So
yeah,
I didn't understand that.
I didn't understand that either. I was like, what are you so weird about? But whatever. Oh, and by the way, she handles Tiger Shark just fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, she walks in, gets a shower. They're eating pancakes while she's nursing, and he doesn't have an issue with that. I don't know.
But he has an issue going into her drawer where her underwear is. I don't understand.
I'm not sure either. Anyway,
Roger. It's not Dennis, it's Roger.
Dennis. I thought it was a good little filler issue. It was a nice little one and done short story. Jessica Drew beats up a bad guy and is also a mom. Single issue.
Yeah.
It was a filler that didn't feel like filler.
Yeah, it was a good little issue. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, it was okay. Let's see. That's all the Spider books we had. It was all. Oh no, we have Spider-Man 2099. I keep wanting to.
Yeah.
We had all the Spider-Man books this week, didn't we?
You in a hurry? You got a date or something?
No, you put them in the wrong order.
Books. No, I didn't. It's right there in front of you on the screen.
No, I'm saying we discuss Spider-Man books first, then Avengers books, then X-Men. Or no, Spider-Man, X-Men, then Avengers.
Okay, whatever we discuss, it's on a screen in front of you.
I know, I'm looking at it.
Then how can you not get it right?
Okay. Well, why don't you tell us about Spider-Man 2099 then?
Because I don't know what's going on in this book. When was there a Maestro world?
I don't know.
I don't either. Because he's trying to get back to a Maestro-controlled 2099. Instead, he's in a Sinister Six 2099. So how did he get to a Sinister Six 2099 and not a Maestro 2099? And when was there Maestro 2099, and how did I miss it?
That beats me, man.
Okay, so anyway, last issue, our man, Miguel O'Hara, was captured by the Sinister Six in the Sinister Six controlled 2099 net. I think that was too many 99s, but that's okay. And in this issue, he's being tortured, and they're discussed why they don't just put a bullet in his head. Instead, they decide to order pizza.
Which I thought was really funny.
I wish I was making this up. I'm not. Peter David writing it. And somehow he gets out, and what they discover later is there's actually a traitor in their midst. And I don't know who that was that saved him.
Lady Iron Man? I don't know.
I don't either.
So what you've got here...
And if it sounds like we don't know what's going on in this book, we really don't. I need to jump back to issue 1 and figure out what Peter David's doing, because I really enjoy Peter David's writing, and I've read all these issues, but somewhere he's taken a left turn, and I've missed it.
Well, Miguel O'Hara got teleported into this universe, tracking down somebody in the last one, but this is a alternate 2099 that's divergent from his 2099. So it's an alternate universe of an alternate universe.
Yeah, what you said.
Yeah, and it gets real confusing, and they discussed it a little bit, but I think this is an introduction of a new world. So the reason we don't know anything about it is because we're not meant to.
Right. So eventually they figure out that Electro.
What about Electro?
They figure out who the traitor is. The Green Goblin. The Green Goblin's the traitor.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. And they hold the Green Goblin hostage, and because it's a friend of theirs, and they tell Miguel O'Hara, hey, you got to come back and turn yourself back in, or we're going to kill your friend who is the Green Goblin, who was actually a good guy, even though she was being a bad guy.
Sure.
I really enjoy Peter David's writing, but dude, I got to find time to go back and read this, figure out what's going on here, man.
Yeah, I do too, because I don't, and I have an idea of what's going on, but we took a real left turn, and I'm so confused by this universe and what's happening that I almost lose interest in it because I know nothing about it.
Yes.
Yeah. So sure, I'll keep reading this until it gets canceled in a week or two.
I don't think it does.
Well, I saw an announcement the other day for Peter David and Mark Bagley are going to be writing a different Spider-Man book, so I think this one gets the axe at some point.
Okay, well, you tell us about Amazing Spider-Man 13, and I will look at the sales figures.
Okay. Yep.
It's on the list, man. Keep up.
I'm looking at it. I was looking at
We're not on top of our game tonight.
Anyway, Alex Ross did the cover. Yeah, it was an issue of Spider-Man. Spider-Man, Iron Man, or why don't you go ahead and tell us about this book?
I will. What's the villain's name? Regent is solidifying his position as the new hero in the city. By doing so, he tackles Orca, who, by the way, is another Namor old villain. Apparently, all of Namor's villains are running wild since the Squadron Supreme killed him. And takes him to his prison. And what he's really doing is every time he takes one of these villains to his prison, he's taking their power. Well, what happens is Miles Morales, Spider-Man's supposed to meet him to tutor him, except Tony Stark has already met him there, and Tony Stark is already tutoring him. And Tony Stark starts banging on Peter Parker's software, not knowing that Spider-Man's really Peter Parker, which leads to basically a harmless fight between Peter Parker and Tony Stark. The problem is it gives Regent an excuse because they're fighting in the city. Although it's harmless and they're not hurting anyone, And Miles Morales just kind of, it's pretty funny because he just pretends he doesn't know him and starts walking off. It gives Regent an excuse to go after him because they're fighting in a public place. So it gives Regent an excuse to go arrest him in his mind. And the ones he winds up arresting is Miles Morales. He goes and captures Miles Morales, and Tony Stark and Spider-Man go after him as he's got Miles captured, and apparently they lose track of Miles, and that's the end of the issue.
Yep. Now Miles Morales has been captured, and they're gonna.
And he's trying to acquire the powers of a spider.
Right.
That's the important thing. Is he doesn't have the powers of one of the Spider-Man yet, and that's what he wants.
Right. Yeah. There's also a funny little scene where Harry, Mary Jane Watson, and Betsy Brandt figure out that he's Regent, or figure out his identity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That 2099 book isn't selling bad.
Is it not?
I mean, no. I mean, there are certainly books that are selling worse. It's it's all right.
Okay. Let's see. Punisher #2. How do you feel about this series so far? We're 2 issues in.
I've never been a big Punisher fan because it's always so dark and brooding. And I'm hesitant to use the word depressing. But okay, depressing. I mean, it's just, there's never a happy ending. There's never a bright spot in a Punisher book. And that's just why I've never been into reading the Punisher. I mean, I can enjoy the character. I sometimes like him when he appears with other characters or in other books. Dude, just Punisher solo books just depress me. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean it's not meant to be a bright spot in the book. It's that's Frank Castle's whole thing is he's lost everything. So what's he got to live for except killing bad guys?
Yeah, and it just, dude, I mean, it was entertaining. He's after Face, and he gets the corrupt sheriff, and I'm not looking at it, so probably recap it better than I can. Yeah, so he goes to that small town, and he basically kills everybody but Face. And it's like that Carnage book. He's always racking up a big body count, but it's just, I don't know. There's just never any. I don't know. I just find it depressing.
It can be. He's been tracking these drug dealers. He takes out a couple of them. They find out he's coming. So who I assume are the manufacturers of this drug, who are just a bunch of hillbilly bumpkins in a trailer park, decide they're going to gear up and load up all their guns, and they're going to take it to the Punisher when he gets here. And one of them even straps his kid with dynamite and is going to use him as a trap. And, you talk about this book being depressing. Yeah, well, this isn't going to go anywhere good. There's probably not a happy ending there.
No, there's not. There's not at all.
But overall, I think it's all right. We'll see where it goes in the next couple of issues.
Yeah.
Moon Knight #3. Jeff Lemire's writing this. He's also writing half the books that Marvel's publishing right now. Have you noticed?
I noticed he's writing a lot of them, yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's writing this. He's writing Old Man Logan, which we're about to talk about. He's writing a ton of stuff. And I think he's doing a really good job here with Moon Knight. Have you enjoyed this series?
I'm really enjoying this series.
I am too.
I mean, you don't know if he's insane or if this is reality. Either way, you're just going along for the ride and enjoying it.
Right. You get this killer art from Greg Smallwood. It's a style of art that really fits what we're doing here with these characters. It gives it that feel of not really knowing what you're doing, or not what you're doing, but what what's his name? Moon Knight. Mark. What is it? Mark Spector. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you really don't know what Mark Spector's thoughts are, whether he's really insane or if he's really seeing all this.
Yeah, and on page 11, there's this good sequence where he's talking to the god Khonshu, and he asks if he's mad or if he's sane or insane. And
right, if this is just him going crazy.
Right, and he said, "Does it matter? Does it matter if you're mad or your madness is a gift, Mark? You know, your madness is what will keep you alive. So just stop fighting it and embrace it. Go with it.
Yeah, embrace the insanity.
Yeah, just embrace it and go with it." and he does, and leads everybody to safety, and there you go.
Yeah, and at the end, they finally make it to the surface of New York, and it's not the New York they remember. Or is it? We don't know, because he's insane.
Yeah, and you... I'm wondering if this is Mark seeing this, or if this is everyone seeing this.
That seems to be the... There's some dialogue that makes you think that the other people are just seeing, you know, an empty subway tunnel or whatever, wherever they are. But I'm pretty convinced that this is all real. Like, what they're seeing is really happening. And it's the other person whose their mind is trying to protect them from the insanity that they see. So they try to visualize it as something that they know. Does that make sense?
This is a great book.
Yeah. I think that's what really makes this book.
Yeah, this is a great book.
You know what else is really good and also written by Jeff Lemire is Old Man Logan #7.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
I'm
gonna let you recap the next few because I've got to recap 84 pages of Deadpool #13.
we'll get to that in a minute.
Dude.
But yeah. So if you remember the last issue, the Reavers have come to get him. And they've killed half the town that he's been just kind of hanging out in. So Logan said, you know, all right, let's pull out all the stops. We're just gonna end this. So him and Lady Deathstrike face off. First of all, she's done what Lady Deathstrike always does, and that's she doesn't just try to kill Logan because she knows she can't. So she tries to hurt him. So she's captured the little girl that he's been looking after and her mom. And she's got one in one hand and one in the other, and she basically makes them choose. You know, you can save one, and I'm going to kill the other one. Tell me which one it's going to be. Luckily for Logan, the local sheriff was there and out of sight and was able to get a shot in on her, and Logan can go in and really do the damage. And, man... the art in this book is really good. I've really enjoyed it, and it, particularly if you read it in the smart panel method, like I do, where it just goes from panel to panel. That fight scene between Logan and Lady Deathstrike is really cool. And at the end of it, he's literally hacked her to pieces.
Yes.
But he knows, or he feels like he can't, you know, his life here is done. If he stays here, he's just going to get everyone else killed and the little girl killed. And he feels like he's already messed her life up enough by being responsible for bringing the Reavers here. So he decides, instead of being the one that's being hunted, he's going to go hunting.
And dude, that last page, you were talking about the artwork, that last page of him sitting beside the fire, that's a great piece of artwork.
It's really nice. Yeah.
I'm just sitting here looking at it. That's the kind of thing I'd like to have hanging on my wall.
Yeah, I felt that way about that Avengers cover.
Dude, he's going hunting, buddy, and it's not going to be pretty for somebody.
No, for a lot of people, probably.
No, it's not.
Let's see. Contest of Champions number 9.
I did not realize this was a 10-issue limited series.
Is it?
It is, and this is
Oh.
number 9 of 10.
I actually just downloaded Contest of Champions onto my phone the other day. Yesterday, in fact. I played a little bit of it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, don't you have a phone that has the space for it?
Yeah, exactly. I can download it without having to delete half the other apps on my phone. For anybody who cares, I may have gotten a new phone this week, and I may have fallen in love with it.
Yeah, there you go.
So this issue starts out on an Earth where Tony Stark won the original Civil War hand over fist. Easy. So registration is a big deal. Also, Tony Stark is the president. And Steve Rogers is leading the underground team like he did in the original Civil War. Maestro shows up, captures both teams. You have the Tony Stark team of Avengers, of official registered Avengers, and Steve Rogers, unregistered underground Avengers. Transports them to Battle World, where we catch up with our characters that we've been dealing with there. Ares, you've got Guillotine, Outlaw, Bullseye. If you haven't been reading this series, this isn't going to make any sense. But he's programmed these Avengers teams to think that they're still on their Earth, so they encounter all of his contestants, and he's trying to make them register, thinking that somehow they're still on their own Earth. So they duke it out, and then Captain America's team shows up, and it turns out he's leading the Thunderbolts. That's what he's calling himself, or his team. Overall, honestly, not the strongest issue. It was okay, but I didn't love it, to be honest.
No, it wasn't the best, but I think it's going somewhere. Well, it's going to the last issue where we're going to see Steve Rogers and his Thunderbolts take on Iron Man and his team versus Ares and his team. So there you go.
Yeah. And it's a nice little tie-in to a video game. It's the series as a whole has been much better than it has ever deserved to be.
Yes, it has. Yes.
Yeah.
It has been extremely well done for a game that's just spun off a video game. Or a book that's spun off a video game, excuse me.
Right. Then we have All New Wolverine number 9.
Which is another good book. This was an entertaining book.
It says The Road to Civil War 2, and it's not.
Let me sidetrack for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel, I've got an article that at some point I thought about posting it last week. I could post it now because there's not really any spoilers in it. And it says, what's wrong with Civil War 2? And one of the real criticisms of it is they misled a lot of people by tagging books with Civil War 2 tie-in logos that have nothing to do with Civil War 2.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Yes, this book has nothing to do with Civil War 2.
Yeah, the last issue didn't either, but it was tagged Civil War 2.
Yeah, and apparently they did a lot of books that way and misled a lot of people into thinking that they had to read that book to know what was going on in Civil War, and a lot of people got angry about it.
They should be angry about it, because if I had walked into a comic book store wanting to read all of the Civil War stuff, so I grabbed everything that was tagged with Civil War, and then I got something like this, I'd be real upset about it.
I understand. And apparently, a lot of people were.
Especially when you go, oh, a Civil War book, and it's a Fin Fang Foom story.
Yes.
Ugh.
I mean, it's not bad. It's a good book. It simply has absolutely nothing to do with Civil War.
I don't think it's a good book.
I thought it was entertaining.
It's not awful, I guess. But Fin Fang Foom's attacking New York and the helicarrier because they found a box full of pheromone that attracts Fin Fang Foom, which they promptly spilled all over the helicarrier, so they can't put it back in the box. The helicarrier's crashing into the Hudson, which it does every 3 weeks.
Dude, how do they afford all these helicarriers?
That's what I was about to ask. One, how do they afford them? And how many times does a helicarrier have to crash into New York City before they decide that maybe helicarriers just aren't the way to go?
I don't know. Or at least they don't need to fly over civilized areas.
Right.
You know, not within like 50 miles of a city.
Yeah. These things should be, 10,000 feet in the air, not 800 feet up.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Dude.
So anyway, Laura Kinney hops down the gullet of Fin Fang Foom to rescue Old Man Logan, who's been eaten by Fin Fang Foom. They instead of killing Fin Fang Foom like they ought to, they take the pheromone from the helicarrier and lead him away. She covers herself in the pheromone, grabs a jetpack, and leads him away from New York City. And then they decide to bring Old Man Logan back to her apartment because they didn't know where else to put her. And then there's something about this is the apartment he raised her in, which doesn't make any sense. So we'll see what that's about. Anyway, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. It was okay.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I mean, for real, it wasn't bad. It's probably, if this is going to tie into Civil War in the next couple of issues, I can see where they would have a need for this 2-issue filler bit. And that's what a lot of these books have felt like. These books that I think are going to cross into Civil War at some point, it feels like they're just biding a lot of time. You had this, you had, the Spider-Woman book. I feel like this Avengers thing is kind of just holding back until Civil War. Definitely the A-Force thing. Yeah, I think a lot of books are just kind of biding time to Civil War.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm already looking at Deadpool, trying to figure out these 84 pages.
Alrighty. Well, then I'll move on to Iron Man number 10, Invincible Iron Man number 10. So Tony Stark's been under deep cover trying to figure out what these high-tech ninjas are about and who their boss is, who they're working for. He finally meets their leader in this issue. Friday is desperate for help from Mary Jane Watson to save the Iron Man's company, Stark Industries, which I think you're going to see her as like the CEO in the next. Like, I think that's where this is going. They're basically turning Mary Jane Watson into Pepper Potts.
Was this the issue, or was it last issue where she tried to contact Pepper Potts and it didn't go very well?
No, apparently they talked, but we don't know what they talked about. But yeah, that happened. Her and Pepper Potts had a conversation.
Oh, that's right.
And yeah, her and Pepper Potts talked. So, and she didn't want the job. After talking to Pepper Potts, she said, no, I don't want this job.
Right.
So, Iron Man Tony Stark has been missing for a little while now. And Rhodey decides he's going to call in the Avengers to rescue Tony Stark. Because this is pre-Civil War and Rhodey's still alive. Yeah, and that's kind of where we're left, is the Avengers are there and they're going to go rescue Tony Stark.
Yeah. It's not a bad issue. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, actually, I thought it was really good too. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell us about Deadpool, this $10 issue of Deadpool that is
What it what it
highway
really
robbery.
is, what it really is, it's actually, for all intents and purposes, it's a trade paperback. It's Deadpool 13, Daredevil 7.1, Power Man and Iron Fist 4.1, and Deadpool 13.1. And it begins with Ben Urich. Can we argue about that again? Um, Trying to decide how to write the story of what happens in this comic book, the mob story. And it's about a guy named Marvin Shirkley, hereafter known as Marvin, because this is going to take me about 10 minutes. Hereafter known as Marvin. And Marvin is an investment banker on Wall Street who happens to invest money for most of the mafia in New York. The problem is the market went south and he lost all the mafia's money. So as we meet Marvin, the Yakuza is there looking for their money, and Typhoid Mary is there looking for her money. And they get in a fight over who's going to get to kill Marvin and get the money back. And Marvin, in all his infinite wisdom, goes to Deadpool with a sack full of diamonds and a laptop to get Deadpool to save him. And Deadpool isn't real interested until he finds out Typhoid Mary is involved. Now, let me stop a minute here. Apparently, Deadpool and Typhoid Mary had some kind of romantic history.
Yeah, they had a relationship at some point, didn't they?
It had something to do with back when he was fooling around with Siren. And I don't remember when that was, but it ended badly. And they really hate each other. So Marvin hires Deadpool to take care of him, the diamonds, and the laptop. So Deadpool takes the diamonds, puts them in the safe. The laptop won't fit in the safe, so Deadpool just takes the laptop, throws it in the trash. And then Deadpool, being Deadpool, decides the best thing to do is just drive over to where all the mafia is and confront them head on because he's Deadpool. And then he and Typhoid Mary get in a fight. Doesn't end very well. Marvin loses all his clothes, so he's running around in his underwear because Typhoid Mary sets him on fire, and they go to see Matt Murdock. And that leads us to Daredevil 7.1, where they're in Matt Murdock's office. Yes.
Not the .1 BS again.
Dude, it's all in this issue, okay? It's all in this issue.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, dude, I'm telling you, it's 84 pages. It's all here in this issue. So we have Marvin sitting there in his underwear in a motorcycle helmet with Deadpool in Matt Murdock's office. Got to keep up. And Deadpool doesn't trust Matt Murdock because he's blind, and it just kind of all goes downhill from there. And that's when Marvin says, "Hey, I've got the information that can convict all these guys on the laptop." And Deadpool's like, "What laptop?" "The laptop I handed you." "I don't remember a laptop." "Yeah, I gave you a laptop when I gave you the diamonds. I don't remember the laptop." So that's kind of goes south there. And the whole time, Deadpool wasn't trusting Murdock because he's blind. Finally, Marvin and Deadpool go to get the diamonds, and coincidentally enough, Daredevil joins them. So they take an Uber ride. Actually, they can't decide if they want to take an Uber or take a Lyft because Uber is German and Deadpool doesn't trust the Germans. They take a Lyft over to Deadpool's place, where by this time, of course, Typhoid Mary and all the gangsters are there. And Deadpool decides to hold them off, and while Daredevil and Marvin go get the laptop, and Deadpool holds him off and gets his face blown up, and he's blind. So at that point, he's blind, and he starts fighting everyone while he's blind. Then literally there's an explosion, and Daredevil goes, either one of two things happened. Either Deadpool blew himself up, blew them up, or just blew everybody up. And about that time, Deadpool wanders upstairs and starts making jokes or making references to his best friend, Matt Murdock, who's blind, not knowing that Daredevil is Matt Murdock, and how much respect he has for the blind, and how he's now blind and he respects the blind people, and that the laptop should be in the trash can. Of course, the laptop isn't in the trash can at this point. And Daredevil's just pretty well put out with the whole thing, and is just over it. And of course, at some point, Deadpool's eyes pop back in his head, and Murdoch or Daredevil's just over it, so he leaves, and they decide they need real heroes to help them find the laptop, which brings them to Power Man and Iron Fist, the heroes for hire, which brings us to Power Man and Iron Fist number 4.1. So they go to the landfill for the city of New York, which generates 40 million pounds of trash a day, and they start looking for the laptop. I won't lead you through all this, but let's just say that, they spend half the issue digging through the landfill. They spend most of the issue digging through the landfill. And by the way, at the beginning, Luke Cage wants to kill Deadpool. About halfway through the issue, Danny Rand runs out of good karma, and he decides he wants to kill Deadpool. He's just like over it, and he wants to kill Deadpool, and then Luke Cage is holding him back. And of course, finally, Typhoid Mary shows up, and they all wind up fighting each other. And at the end of it, after they've been digging through trash all day, one of the last drivers comes in, and he's got the laptop in the cab with him. So they call Murdoch, and, they've got the laptop. They got to get the laptop to Murdoch. And, of course, Typhoid Mary's there, and they're all chasing him, and Daredevil comes and gets the laptop, and they decide to put Typhoid Mary in a hospital instead of in jail, and Daredevil and Deadpool have this interesting conversation. We're back in Deadpool 14.1 now instead of Power Man and Iron Fist. We're into Deadpool 14.1, wherever we were. And Daredevil's looking at Deadpool as well a blind man can, and says, I don't understand, because you're inherently evil, and I absolutely hate you, but you've just done something really good, and I'm very good at reading people, insinuating he can read his heartbeat and tell when he's lying or not. And he just doesn't know what to make of Deadpool. And Deadpool says, yeah, I like it that way. I like it when people don't know what to make of me. And that's just kind of where the issue ends. There's some more comic stuff at the end. Marvin lives happily ever after. Ben Urich can't figure out what to do with the story, so he throws it in the trash, and everybody lives happily ever after.
Awesome.
84 pages.
84 pages and $10 off the rack.
Yes.
Tell me, if you were buying comic books regularly, would you have spent $10 on this? $10. It's a month of unlimited.
If I were buying Deadpool monthly, if Deadpool were on my pull list, I would scream when I saw the cover price, and then I would enjoy it when I read it.
Okay. I just feel like...
I mean, because it really is 4 complete issues in there. I mean, I blew through it. Okay, I mean, I really blew through that thing. There is 4 complete issues in there. It is essentially a 4-issue trade paperback. Okay, I mean, it's 84 pages long. So it's I would freak out when I saw the price of it. But if Deadpool were on my pull list, if I valued Deadpool enough to be buying it monthly, yes, I would buy it, and I did enjoy reading it.
Okay.
Because Jerry Dugan's writing it, okay, and he did a good job of writing this and keeping that balance of humor and seriousness with Deadpool in this, particularly when he took the turn at the end where Daredevil and Deadpool are talking, and Daredevil doesn't know what to do with him because he sees that Deadpool just did something good by putting Typhoid Mary in a hospital instead of having her incarcerated and trying to get her help for her mental disabilities instead of just throwing her in jail. And he realizes there really is good in Deadpool because he really hates Typhoid Mary and he really wants to kill her, but instead of killing her, he got her help. And he really hates Deadpool and he really hates what he stands for, but he sees that he really just did something good, and he doesn't know what to make of this. He doesn't know what to make of this guy.
Yeah. I wonder sometimes, in the wake of how successful Deadpool has become, and Deadpool was becoming a household name even before the movie, but the movie just skyrocketed the character. And by the way, the movie got several Golden Globe nominations this week. I just wonder if Marvel is really goosing their Deadpool properties to sell merchandise and comic books.
No. Don't miss what they did here. This is nothing more than trying to get Daredevil and Luke Cage fans. This is Daredevil fans Deadpool fans trying to read Daredevil and Luke Cage. That's all this was.
Well, even just snagging some money from Deadpool fans, this comes out and they're all excited about the movie, and they go to the comic book store and they spend $10 on a Deadpool issue, and it's there's plenty of material there, but I don't know. And all the new Deadpool based characters that they're introducing, I just wonder if they're really milking this, and if they're going to saturate the market, and they're going to water it down in favor of making a buck.
Deadpool has been around for 25 years now, 26 years, 89, 90, whenever Liefeld
27 years.
Whenever Liefeld created him, and he has been a hot property the entire time. And there have been good writers and bad writers, and everybody has thought that Deadpool in particular, because Cable's kind of cooled off, they kind of killed Cable.
Yeah.
But Deadpool has not gone away. He is more popular than ever. And
he's as recognizable as Spider-Man and Wolverine and Iron Man now.
Dude, I don't see it going anywhere.
I'm not saying it's going to go anywhere. I'm saying, is Marvel abusing the Deadpool character and property to make a buck?
It's not what everybody does.
No.
Well, sure to do, man.
I don't know. Well, either way, I still think $10 for a single comic book is outrageous.
I mean, why does Fox keep making crappy Fantastic Four movies? Because they want to keep the property and make a buck off of it.
Well, sure, but we're all upset about it. None of us are happy that they're making crappy Fantastic Four movies.
Well, I understand, but that's
nobody's really going to see those movies.
No, but they're doing it to make a buck. Why does Sony keep turning out Spider-Man movies to make a buck?
They're not. They're making Marvel movies now.
Yeah, but Sony still owns it.
Yeah, but it's a different thing now.
Dude, but Sony still owns it. They did not give up the rights to that.
No, you're right. But they're splitting the profit like 60-40, I think.
Right, but they didn't give it up.
No, but if Marvel can have creative direction of the character, I think that's what they're more concerned with.
I understand, but Sony's still making buck off of it.
Oh, for sure.
So what I'm saying is this is all about the money.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, selling anything is all about the money. But I don't know. Side note, did you see that Spider-Man trailer this weekend?
No.
You haven't seen the Spider-Man trailer yet?
Dude, I've not watched the Spider-Man trailer yet, no.
Dude, go watch the Spider-Man trailer. I didn't realize you hadn't seen it.
No.
Cool. So what was your favorite book this week? Do we even need to ask this question?
No, we don't even need to ask. It was Civil War.
It was Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Civil War. Hands down.
Yes.
Do you have anything else about Deadpool or any of the other books before we move on?
There was something about the dumps. Oh, in the dumps this week were some of the classic X-Men books.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
And really, those aren't interesting because they were essentially just reprinting the original X-Men series.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the mid-late 80s because they were so popular and they were selling for such a high value. But Chris Claremont, um, Dave Cockrum, John Byrne were writing and drawing backup stories. And what you see being reprinted there are the backup stories. They're not the original story. Like I think there's the cover to 133 is there. That's not 133. That's the backup story that was in 133. So and if you go to Classic X-Men, what you see there are the backup stories that were in those issues. And some of those are pretty good backup stories. I mean, some of them are really good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep. So your classic read this week is going to be the original Civil War series. Since we're moving into Civil War number 2, I thought it would be a good time to revisit this series if you haven't read it. Or if you have, go back and kind of refresh yourself of the plot and the story. That's what I'm doing. You can read the whole 120 whatever comic books that are in the event if you want to. I'm reading the main story books and a couple of key issues around those. Some of the Spider-Man stuff, mostly because I enjoy that Spider-Man stuff. But yeah, I thought it would be a good idea to compare, read them again against one another and compare and contrast the themes and elements that are different from the original Civil War to the new one.
There you go.
Yep.
I've read it several times.
I haven't read it in probably 4 or 5 years, so I figure it's a good time to go back over it and refresh my memory.
There you go.
Yep. Let's see. Well, I think that's pretty much it. Pat, did you have any wisdom for our true believers before we go?
A smart person thinks he is like the rest of the people. A stupid person thinks that everyone else is like him.
Huh. There you go. I can think of some people I can apply that to.
I can too.
All right. See you guys next week.
Peace.